Welcome to the podcast for your spiritual growth. Evolve,
align,
and embrace. I'm Alex.
And I am Sophia.
Let's start.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's podcast, where Alex and I are talking about the third chakra, the Solar Plexus Chakra or Manipura Chakra, where our power, our identity, our strength lies. And we give you tips on how to balance it. We tell you why it's so important that this chakra is balanced. And we also discuss how it shows up in our own lives, so you can see how it really shows up in real life. I hope you enjoy, and let's go.
Alex, hello.
Yeah. So good to be back. I'm so excited. Finally
yes,
talking again.
Yeah, it's been a while, but we're back.
Yes, we're back. You've been keeping up with a really lovely interview with Paige, and now it's us two again.
Yes, and we wanted to talk about the next chakra because we're going to finish the chakras at some point. But today, the third chakra, this one is a very exciting one. Actually, each one is a really exciting one. I feel like I'm excited to talk about any of them.
Very much.
Yeah. But Manipura, the power chakra.
Yes, the solar plexus.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I'm also very excited for this one, because in the last couple of weeks I just realized how I have to work on it, and how another friend, actually I made friends with a girl, and she had problems with that chakra too, and that's why it was really in the field. It was always there, and so I got really excited and read more about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think you told me, I think, that you were reading about it, and that was really interesting. And honestly, always when I read or when I dive into the stuff even further before we jump on a call, so I can like refresh my mind or just like be more in that topic, I always realized, there was something. I remember there was something I had to work on. And that's like on every chakra, but I feel like it's so organically, like your system always changes, so you will always have something to work on, right? And the misconception that you work on this once and then you'll be good, like in Western medicine, where it's like you treat it and then it's gone, right? That's the thinking of it. And I feel like it just doesn't happen with energy work. It doesn't happen with personal development. It's an ongoing practice. You're just gonna get further with more practice and with more like really looking at whatever imbalance you have or whatever you're working on. It's progress, but it's never going to be finished.
Never. I don't think we will die finished. And it's just us growing, and I always see it as we're growing and we're going a step further and further and higher, maybe a step of stairs higher up. And on every step, you can work on the solar plexus or any other chakra just in a different way again, or in more depth than before. But once you accomplish something or you worked on something, definitely something else will come up, because all the challenges and the symptoms or problems, however you want to call it, that show up in our lives only come because now you're ready for it. And therefore we are always ready for different kind of challenges at a different kind of time in our life. Yes.
Yeah, totally. I can totally relate and agree with you that we go up the stairs and we don't even because we're in the process, we often don't realize actually that we stepped up. And then a new problem comes because it's not a problem, it's just like an indication that you can go even higher, right? and a chance to up level if you
Yes.
solve that problem, basically.
Yes.
But
Every problem is a chance to up level.
yes, and if you see it that way, like it's gonna help you level up. But also, when I reflect on, like just now when I read more about the Manipura chakra, I read about like how it, like just things that I had from my teacher training or books that I consumed, to know more about it. And what now things stood out to me, different things stood out to me than stood out to me before, that I was drawn to, because like, and we're going to get into that very, very shortly, but like my experience with this chakra is that like reclaiming your power, right? So now from last year, I have grown so much and improved so much in that particular thing, in knowing my power and living in my power. But still, I didn't see that because I was living it. And first and only when I went back and like studied and reflected and inquired with myself, I realized, okay, hey, I achieved something big. I should be really proud of that. Even though there are still things to work on, I can be really proud that I stepped up. But I didn't see that until I was going inward and reflecting and seeing. So
was your reflection when you looked up solar plexus for the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. Congratulations. Now you can see what you accomplished.
Yes.
Yeah, for me it's more like I looked at the topics that are usually connected to that chakra when I also sat down a day to prepare for this podcast. And I realized, oh, yeah, I know those topics. I know those issues, and they've always been part of my life. But I have different stories to it now. So claiming my power, or let's say having willpower in the direction where I go, is now another direction than some other time when I looked at the solar plexus. And maybe it's more specific now, maybe it's just different now. So that's kind of what I realized. And I felt like it's more specific now, everything that I read, that I can relate, or can relate more specifically to the points that I've written down for the podcast. Nice. So what is the solar plexus, Jesus Christ? What is that supposed to mean? What are we talking about here today? Chakra and solar plexus, Manipura. Well, it's one of our 7 main chakras in our body, and it's the third. We already talked about the first, the root chakra, the second, the sacral chakra. And I always call them like by that. You always use the Sanskrit words, right?
Mostly, not always.
Mostly. Okay. And now we can talk about the third one. So if you heard of it already, and if you listen to our episodes where we talked about the other chakras, the basic needs, like the material needs, are in the root chakra and the very first chakra. So do we have enough to sleep? Yeah, if we sleep, do we sleep enough? Are we healthy? Or do we have enough to eat? All those things, security. Then the next level is to co-create, to make sure the species will stay alive, to connect with other beings, and to make babies, and to be alive, to be sensual and playful with each other, to connect, to be family, and creative. And then now today we talk about the third chakra, which is talking mostly about willpower. Who am I here? What can I do? Assertiveness and fire, all this fire, not earth where we're grounded, or water where we feel and play. No, it's fire. It's getting things done. And also having your direction, aiming your goal and going towards it. This is the energy that can flow, that we want to flow through our third chakra.
Yeah.
So its energy is fire, its color is yellow, and its mantra is I can, or I do. It's this self that knows I can do this, I can get things done, I can go follow my dream, I can know which step to take next, or I just do it. I don't think, I do. It's a chakra that is connected to those basic chakras, but also has the possibility and the capability to go into the more of an energy-ish level, where we are connected to our intuition and making the things that we have to get done, to dreams that we want to accomplish. So it's already getting closer to a spiritual being, more than just a being that is here on earth and connected to earth, and to materialistic things. Does that make sense?
Yes, how I would I totally know what you mean. I would describe it as being human, because
rather than being an animal.
Yeah.
Very good.
This is where I mean, it's already in a Svadhisthana. You're already like, there's something with the creativity about it, like in the second chakra, that also is this more human than animal, because animals, they don't have creative ways of expressing their life. They just live their life. Maybe, I don't know, but still they recreate by, like, they still
they play around,
and they play around, of course. But it's more about, maybe the same, like Svadhisthana is more like play, but then when you have this solar plexus chakra, there's this drive, there's this passion, there's this having a character,
being confident. Animals are
confident. Yes, they have
consciously confident.
It's that's where this is the place where your character is established, where you have the sense of, who am I in this world? And
not I am, but who am I?
Who am I? Yes. And it's really like, the self, and so I would say it's better to describe as a being human, because as you get higher up, that's where the spiritual aspect of our being comes more to surface. That's
way more.
Yeah.
It's just that if we talk about the organs that are connected to the third chakra, it's also I don't know how to say it, and let's say if I can get this in English. It's the organs that make food into energy, kind of, our digestive system. And this is also a sign that in this chakra we're able to make material things, just such as food, into energy that we need in order to function and to get our life force, and in order to do things. So that's actually also kind of where I'm coming from.
That's a big thing. It's all about transformation. Like,
it's transformation.
This chakra is,
that's the word.
It's totally about transformation, because basically fire is in yogic philosophy, fire is a sign of transformation. And also in, like, they have this Agni, fire is called Agni in Sanskrit. And Agni is the god of fire. And it's not only about, so it has a lot to do with your metabolism, right? As you mentioned, like bringing food into the body, the organs digest it, it goes into energy, like it helps you distribute prana, your life force, right? Through, it's kind of like the engine to, and this transforming is causing this heat in your body in order to keep going. But it has to do with everything. It's how you process your thoughts, how you process experiences, how you process everything around you. And it's also about like you take in a lot of through your eyes, right? So it's also processing just the world around you, and through that process you create who you are. Not really, you don't really create it, you are being created by your circumstances, often like from childhood on. It's not that the circumstances build you completely, but they build your foundation of your beliefs.
And your reaction on the things that happen to you build you and your beliefs. So when your mom says, please get up and read a book, you can have different kinds of reactions and different kinds of transforming what she gave you into something that you want to take on out of it. So either you can react like, oh my god, she thinks I'm dumb, I have to read a book, or you can think, oh my god, she cares so much about me, she wants me to read. Or I don't know what else. You can think so many things about one thing that happens to you, and it's about your inner self and how strong or how much confidence it has, or how it's just wired that you react to the outer world and transform what's coming into what you want to do with it.
Yes,
kind of.
I totally agree. But it's not only, but where does this belief come from? I do agree that it has to do how we react to whatever is happening to us. But where does that come from? Where does the reaction come from? It comes from an underlying belief that we established in our brain unwillingly through the experiences that we had in early childhood.
Yes.
From our experience, like it has like the first times something gets in our system, it has to process that, and then that memory gets stored, and that memory is then it's not that we can't change it, but it defines us in some way.
Yes.
And we can, right? So
it can strengthen the solar plexus system, our willpower, or it can weaken it.
Yeah.
So if you as a child unconsciously think, my mother wants me to read a book because she thinks I'm so stupid and I have to read a book in order to become smarter, then from that point on you might think, if my mom doesn't think I'm smart, nobody thinks I'm smart, I'm not smart. So you don't have a really strong thought and belief about your intelligence, for example.
Yeah.
Yes.
This belief that your mom doesn't think you're smart can come from her acting in a certain way towards you, maybe even telling you you're stupid, without her having the intent to ingrain that in you.
Yes.
But when we're young, we believe, right, that what we see is our reality because we don't know that there's something else existing. So we take that in, and we take everything, I think, very clear, and we also take the energies with things, right? If, for example,
yes.
And I have a good example with this little man here sitting next to me. If I give him something to play, for example, but
we are not having fun playing that game. Like if I'm not with him playing that game and we're having fun, he will not want to play that game by himself because he doesn't have a good experience stored in his memories of that game. Like if we, I don't know, if we had a fight or something doing one particular thing, he will link that feeling that he had to that game, to that thing, without him knowing in the future when he grows up that might show up whenever that, like when he is encountered with that same game or whatever with that same topic, then that feeling will come back and he might not even understand why. Right? So it's this. So yeah, this still has a lot to do with like this, the lower chakras that are established when we are younger.
Yes.
And yeah, so this, like what you're saying, this like willpower, right? That you have willpower or assertiveness. You have to, that's a lot also about your mindset, isn't it? Like,
very much about your opinion about yourself. So as you grow up and you strengthen your first chakra as a baby, where you just eat enough and drink enough and get to know your body and grow, and then your second chakra when you play around, are creative, and this is all nicely built up. But in this time where those chakras, the bases are being built, a lot of things can happen and be stored in your system, and this will lead to your self-confidence and opinion about yourself as a grown-up eventually. So beliefs are very much a topic of solar plexus chakra.
And it's like imbalances. We're going to talk a little bit about like how imbalances can look like, really. But what I wanted just to add is how, and we talked about it a little bit now, like how imbalances are created, right? But it's really about traumas that that created beliefs then, right? For example, also what can happen is that you get too young, you get responsibilities that are actually not for your age, right? If you grew up and your parents couldn't really take care of you the way they needed to, then that can cause just you always having to put on that hat, that particular hat, and that can diminish your own power, because you always have to make sure that that your life, right, or not that your life, but that you're taken care of, and that I go a certain way. So you diminish your own willpower because you think that the right thing is more important than the way you think.
Yes, it's all about whether you use your life force, your inner fire, to do something that other people need from you, or if you do it to do something that you want out of your own willpower for yourself. So you have fire, we all have fire, and we all have willpower, and we can all work with that. It's just the question if we work with that because we learned to be good, to be helpful, or because we learned to be connected with ourselves and with what we really want and with what we really want to go for and what we want to change, to use our intuition, love, make decisions out of love and not out of fear. And that's actually where we can, I just forgot how I started the sentence, but that's the kind of two different extremes we can live in the solar plexus chakra, or we can find in us in the solar plexus chakra.
It's the question of who I want to live authentically to who I am. Do I want to live in power? Am I willing to move through challenges to stand up for what I believe in, right? Who do I want to be in this world? And yeah, and there's also a lot of fear involved, because we won't be always liked by everyone if we follow our own power, if we follow our own beliefs. But I think it's so important to follow it, because if we don't, like, we end up not living truthfully, and that causes so much harm. It's like, I experienced it myself several times in my life, never like to the max, right? But always tapping into it, this like following something because you think it's good, because you think it's
the right thing.
the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And through that, almost really giving away your power, and tapping into fire can be very, very hard. Very hard.
Yeah, I mean, if you think you have to work so much for that company and then you burn out, or you are ill all the time and your immune system isn't really strong, then that's definitely a sign for you using your fire, your life force. But yeah, then you use your willpower and your force to do what you think is right for others. And I really love to find out in my life what's right for me. Besides all the things where I know that's the right thing, usually for society. And this is also where you can look where you're balanced, or where you're strong in your chakra, or where you give your life force away to a belief that is not really in line with your truth. Yeah. Yes.
And it almost has this, like, it has the strength, right, that we talked about.
Yes. To stick to yourself.
Or
to know where you're at in your side, in yourself, no matter what comes to you, no matter what the outside world says to you.
And then there's this softness with it too, I feel like, of being able, are you on here? No? Yeah. Softness of I lost my thought right now.
So also strength, you said?
There's the strength,
but also softness.
But also softness of flowing with life, right? And like going with it rather than just like sticking to one thing. And that's like, that's the balance of flowing with life while staying strong. And I feel like that's where the Manipura Chakra lies, in this balancing that all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know, it's like, so either you're really strong, too strong, and you think it can only go this way. So I'm not gonna go to uni like everybody else. I'm gonna do my own thing, and I'm gonna stick to my own opinion. And my opinion is, I'm not gonna go to uni. I'm gonna go learn and travel the world and find a job in that way. And that's what I do. I'm not gonna do anything else. And this is your strength, but it's a little bit hard. And you can also think, okay, I have my thing that I think is right for me, and I follow that path, but I'm also willing to listen to what the world gives to me and then react to it. But I react to it always with the connection to myself and with what feels right for me with that situation. So that's more the softness, right? And if you're too soft, if you're too soft, if you don't have enough strength, you might just go to uni because you think other people want that from you, or you might do something like that, like uni. It's just an example right now, because I just have the thought in my head, society or parents usually want you to go to school, then go to college and uni and have a really nice job in a really nice company, and then have a nice rent and blah 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 blah. Those typical stereotypical normal good expectations. That's just why I use that example right now. I could have used something else as well. So somebody who's too soft there, who doesn't have enough willpower and strength, as you said, will just do what is expected from them and not really go inside and have the connection to your own fire and willpower and ask yourself, what do I really want?
Yeah. And it can look different. Like, it's not that this person who's choosing to go to school is weak, right? Or that they don't have the power. It's just, if that's not what they want to do actually, but they just do it because of somebody else, then it's just about they're not reclaiming their strength or their power. But they still have it, right? It's just that it's imbalanced it's deficient, right? But that can look different. In your example, someone could also choose not to go to school because they want to fight the societal norms or their parents, but actually maybe they want to go to school, but they just don't go because they want to like make a point. They want to show that they're against something. So again, that's the same thing.
It's too hard.
I think it is, honestly, I'm not really sure if it's hard
or too strong, too narrow-minded,
but
very stubborn.
Stubborn, but maybe it's also maybe it's too strong. I was thinking in my mind right now, isn't it too soft because they are giving away their power again? Because just of proving a point, they give away their power.
It's too fiery to look into the inside, because if that person really wants to go to school, but only it's like, no, I'm going against my parents and society.
Yeah, you're right.
And doesn't really look inside, and it's not honest to themselves, then they're too narrow-minded, stubborn.
Yeah, you're right.
And that way.
Yeah.
So, that's better example than the person who just goes that I said, who just goes on the world it's tour and doesn't go anywhere. Anyways,
it's different examples, is totally different examples, but it's the same concept of like, why are you doing the things that you're doing? What is the underlying belief there? Is this really coming out of you or out of a wanting to be accepted? Are you just fighting something? Like, where does it come from? Because really it's all about being authentic, being truthful. Has a lot to do with Satya, with your the yoga guideline about truthfulness. Where do things come up? Where do they come from? And then once you understand yourself more, you're going to understand this Manipura Chakra more and more, and where you stand on the spectrum and why. And I think through understanding how you react to situations, you can so well tune into yourself in this way and connected to this chakra.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So there are areas in our life, if I talk about myself, to make this more personal, there are topics in my life where I don't know where I'm going, like what I really want. And so in that area, I'm not very connected to my willpower and my confidence, my fire, and to make decisions that are really free from other people's or whatever, from expectations. I can always check if I'm in my willpower, if I'm free enough to make those decisions in that way, in that free way. Also, those decisions that we make in connection to ourselves and our truth and our intuition will always lead us to more growth for that moment. And we can also see if we're in a comfort zone more, and if we don't want to step out. This is also a word that really leads to willpower and fire. If we know we are in a comfort zone, or if we are like, oh my God, I think I realized I am, then that's also a sign for to being too soft and having not enough fire right now in that area. And there are so many different pictures that come up in my mind when I say that. Yeah. Maybe for the listener too. Also, comfort zone is linked to having fear of the unknown. So if you have a lot of fear in your system, it's blocking your fire and your willpower. And your confidence to try it, even though there's fear linked to it. And also, always ask yourself, why is there fear? Obviously.
Yeah, you have to move through this fear, and it's really about being courageous and being adventurous in some way, right? It's about like being okay. This is, transformation comes from action, and sometimes action can look different for everyone, like what you have to do, or maybe what you should stop doing, right? But this chakra is about taking action and doing. And I mean, it's really, this chakra is about all of the physical functioning of our body. Without this fire, we would not be alive, because our organs wouldn't working, like our heart wouldn't beat, and so it's all about this chakra, or this energy is helping us be alive in a physical world, and be in our bodies. And when like what indications that you have some issues with this chakra is very, very plain and simple. When you have digestive problems, when there's something not properly digesting in your body, and that for leaving toxins in your body, or like things accumulate, that's a simple sign of, okay, something is wrong here. Something is not working properly, and
something's not being transformed properly. The fire cannot work here, it's blocked to digest.
And I don't know, like I can speak for myself. I don't know if I spoke on here about this, but I have psoriasis, so that's a skin condition, right?
I listened to that podcast and we were talking about a lot of things where I thought, oh my God, we can just talk about that again. And you said that.
Yeah. So it's really interesting, because everything is linked together, right? And what we talk about. So this skin condition, it's kind of like eczema, and it's linked to an autoimmune disease. And that has a lot to do with your digestion. So what I found out for myself is, after having years and years of trying different things and doing this and doing that, I now finally understand that it's the whole way I live, right? But very importantly, what I take in, what I eat, what I drink, but also the media that I consume. It's the conversations I have. It's living to my truth. Like, honestly, when I don't live to my truth, when I do things sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly, that are not aligned with who I am and who I want to be in this world, then it shows up, and it shows up, and it shows
and you
up.
cannot digest it properly, and it shows up with you physically, you're not feeling good, or mentally you're not feeling good.
Kind of. It shows up on my skin. It shows up on my skin, and that's an indicator for me. Oh, okay, well, there's something energetically wrong here. Right? So and like I am fighting it off and on, but still like it gets stronger when there are things that are energetically, emotionally coming up for me. And when I look back, I remember always the times when there was a lot of transformation going on, when something was built up, like a situation just built up in my life, and I was like, okay, I need to change this. Or when just that thought came that I need to change it, then that's when I had an outburst of psoriasis. And I was dealing with that. And at the same time, I was dealing with a very strong transformation internally. But I had to do that transformation in order to cure the physical effects it had.
You had to have that problem in order to grow.
Yes, beautiful, right?
See, and oh, sorry, you're not finished.
No, I just wanted to say, I hope I explained that good, because I feel like I talked all over. But if you understood it, it's good, I think.
I understood. Okay. If you didn't understand, guys, please text us. Please contact us. We'll write it down in order. No, it's all good. Yeah, I can totally relate to that, because so I said in the other podcast, I have a problem with my gallbladder when I was a child, and the gallbladder is also linked to the solar plexus, just like the digestive system, the liver, Milz, the lower spines, no, the middle part of the spine. Anyways, but going back to the gallbladder, because usually lots of organs are linked to one chakra. I had something that had to be taken out when I was a child, because it wasn't helping me digest properly. It was blocking the gallbladder's
functioning,
liquid to go into my digestive system in order to help digest. And so they had to take out that blockage so it can run through into the digestive system again. And there was an operation. And also, I know that I was very angry when I was a child, not when I was a teenager. And I think that I had stored a lot of anger and a lot of suppressed feelings in my solar plexus area organs. And it was so strong that they even had to remove something out of my body, physically in an operation. And also I can relate to having physical symptoms and mentally symptoms when I wasn't feeling aligned with myself. I was always in my head a lot. When I was a child and a teenager and a even younger adult, I was always thinking things through nonstop. Sometimes I couldn't go to sleep because I had all those thoughts in my head. And I remember that being part of my life forever. And since I started living my truth more and more after leaving in my home, I don't have that anymore. I can sleep well every night, and I'm more in my body and less in my head. I don't know if that's really linked to the solar plexus, but that's definitely something that's part of my willpower and my truth, because I can be more present in my body now because I'm more aligned with what feels right for me, where I stand. I can more stand where I want to stand now. I don't do anymore what I think I have to be doing. I think school time was the time where I had to do my homework in order to feel good. But maybe I don't even know if I wanted to, or I did lots of sports and athletic stuff in order to be good. But I don't know if I really, really, really wanted to do that. If that really was my truth. I didn't know my real truth. I just did what I felt like I had to do. Mm. Yes. Motivation. And I stopped doing all that. And that's definitely something that had improved everything, totally my mental health. Also, I cannot go to the toilet really well when I am not in an environment. Cannot digest really well when I'm not in in an environment where I can relax and feel like I can be myself.
Yeah, totally. It's hard, like if you take that of just not being able to go to the bathroom, right? It's the same thing, like of when you're not comfortable, when you're not content with who you are, then you hold on, you just get stiff, and your digestion stops, right?
Yes.
So that's when also then again, it's these two ways that can go. Either you're this fire that you have in you spikes, and you get angry and you get like aggressive in order to feel like you're superior to the situation, right? Or if you get stiff, you decline and get smaller and give the power away because you have fear, right? It's like either going over it or going under it. In these, when you don't feel good inside, when you don't feel content, when you don't feel self-esteem and strong in who you are. And yeah, so I can relate to what you said, this not being living in your truth because you think you have to do certain things. And that's not only like, it's just the system that you live in. Like we all grew up in this, not all, but most people grew up in this normal Western school system, and it tells you to stay in line. It tells you to do certain things, and through doing them, you are often, a lot of people give away their power, and they don't want to step out of that because they're afraid. They don't know what's out of that. I remember myself, like I could not wait to move to a different city because I was so stuck in the way I was in my hometown, and the role I had taken on there was really hard to change the person I was there. And I felt that that's not my reality. Like that was just a persona that I built concerning my circumstances.
Yeah,
and
because you thought that's gonna make you feel safe or whatever.
Yes,
something like that.
Yeah, it was just like, that's how I grew up. That's how people knew me, right? And it's hard to change who you are to people who knew you for years and years. So I moved away, and that also, when I moved away, I was like, oh my God, I'm so free. And I started to like really feel that I have so much strength and possibility and like options and opportunities, and that I can just go in there and do the things. But in the beginning, when I started doing it, there was still this lack of confidence, because I was always told, or I was told from many different people, of like, oh, you can't do this. Like, you can't do this. It's just people can do that studied that years and years. I was told that with dancing. I said, I want to be a dancer. And then I was told, well, but you didn't dance ballet in your childhood, so you can't become a dancer. Yeah. And that was really deep, like just one comment. And I already subconsciously then believed I could never become a dancer. And I would never call myself a dancer, even though I had that drive. My self-esteem in being a dancer was so low that I couldn't really step into that power. I know I could have become that, but not with that belief that I had, that I didn't even know I had for such a long time. Same, like it's if we don't really, it's not about only believing it, but it's about having that, I don't know how to explain that.
Having the willpower to overcome your fears and to really look at your beliefs again.
Yeah. And
because that was one of your beliefs. It was another person's belief. She thought you can only become a dancer when you have been dancing since you were a little tiny child. and you believed that, you took on that belief, or you knew she was saying that something about that was your truth too, because you took on that belief years and years ago. But in order to, you knew this wasn't making you happy anymore. You felt that you were more in contact with yourself, and maybe you were, because you had more resources to think like that, had the idea, okay, well, if I don't feel happy with that, what can I change about it? Can I maybe change my belief about it or something like that? Because that's the thing. We, at some point in our life, you and me, and maybe you too, dear listeners, have come across the possibility that we can rewire our belief system in ourselves in order to become more happy, and in order to stop blockages that can keep us away from being more free and from being more happy and alive. And I don't know if at that time you already knew this is a belief that's stopping you right now from being the dancer you want to be. But at some point, I'm just praying for you guys to know that you can change your beliefs, and you can also, there are techniques out there where you can find the beliefs that are holding you back from something you want to accomplish.
Yes. Yeah, totally. And I feel a lot of it is reflection of who you are, understanding what's going on in your mind, really seeing and understanding your thoughts, and not just living with them, but examining them, and with almost stepping sometimes out of yourself and witnessing what's flowing through your mind.
And also your emotions, witnessing your emotions.
With that, why does it trigger me when I don't know, why does it trigger me when I go into a dance class and I am not called out, or like, why do I believe that I'm not good if this person doesn't speak to me, or like just small things. It's we always draw our reality out of situations, and if we're aware that it's just our way of receiving these experiences, then we start to understand that it all comes from somewhere, and we can find out where it comes from, and then release that by understanding that, or by just seeing it. And often we will see, okay, this is actually so not true. Like, this is actually just a story that I'm telling myself.
And also to be very honest, and to be more specific with your feelings, because when you, for example, your friend says to you, oh God, Sophia, but you cannot become a dancer because you haven't been starting to dance when you were 3 years old. You missed that chance. So it's, why do you even consider thinking like that? If you then check, if you just take on that truth, but also to check, how do I feel with that truth? Because sometimes we just say, okay, yeah, but we don't really look inside and see, how do we feel with that? Okay, yeah, how do we feel about it? I realized after a long time that when I do not feel happy with a truth, something that is the truth for somebody, or something that is the truth for me, then I can ask myself, then I can ask myself if I can change that, or if I can change my truth, and if I can change how I feel about it, or how I want to feel. This is something we can always ask ourselves to be really, really honest with ourselves about, how do we really like that right now? Because I remember the other day, my friend, a really cool, smart woman, was giving me an advice, and I trust her, and I was happy about her saying something about that at all, and sharing her opinion about it. But now that a couple of days later, I realized, now that she said, actually, Alex, I'm not in a good place right now, I went back to that situation where she gave me that advice, or where she shared that opinion, and I realized I wasn't happy with that opinion. it was making me feel uncomfortable in my situation, because she was just having an opinion about something that is a topic in my life right now, about whether you want to go to the doctor or to a midwife. And she just was very angry about how midwives and doctors are against each other, or something like that. And this energy of her saying, oh my God, they can never work together and this is so annoying, blah, wasn't helping me at all. And I realized that how I felt about it. And sometimes you just don't take in how you really, really feel with what you get from the outside world. And you can always make up your own mind about the thing that's happening to you that makes you feel somehow, and then decide whether you want to take on that truth or not. This is also what I kind of mean. Really honor your emotions and then go back to where am I right now because of those emotions.
Yeah, totally. Our emotions are always an indicator of what our truth is, right? Too, because it just shows us it's actually such a smart system, but we don't honor it. Like we often don't honor it because we don't want to see the truth, because it's different of what we think we should think, or like it's again this giving away your power. Yeah.
So you think she's a smart woman, so whatever she says is good. Huh? Yeah. Why do you not trust your own intuition and emotions? Yeah. This is so always balance. We can balance our chakra if we always go back to how we feel about things, no matter who we talk to, no matter who says what, no matter what kind of situation we're in. I had the nicest jobs somewhere around the world, and we flew in business class to here and there for dance shows, and I was so happy I became that dancer without having to be in a ballet studio from year 3 on. Like I made it, but I still till today I don't feel like a real good dancer, just to say that, a note on the side. But for some reason, all those jobs, like a lot of jobs, I did not feel good about it or not feel right. But till today, I didn't really want to acknowledge that, because I was just so happy and proud I was part of that life and of that world. But I don't know, I will find out. I'm still in the journey, and right now it's Corona and I'm pregnant, so nobody puts me on stage, and I focus more on yoga and the podcast and coaching topics more than ever, because now I just started because I'm now better and I'm not sick anymore every day. But I realize I feel really, really good. My digestive system is amazing. I don't think as much. I'm really good right now. And so there's another truth that I can just look at emotions and look at how I can feel without all of this that I thought is just so amazing in my life, and how I am right now without all of this, and see where I'm at, where my truth is actually with all of this. So this is actually kind of where I am right now, talking about solar plexus.
It's almost
in
like
some way
liberation in some way, to then
maybe
be able to take that what is in you and really bring it out without having the feeling of having to be someone, or having to do something to be worth something.
I can just observe right now. I don't have to be anywhere.
And that's nice. I had another thought about, we talked a lot about like about doing and about like taking the action and and being that, like being strong. And but I feel like Manipura has a lot to do also with building healthy boundaries, having healthy boundaries.
Yes, boundaries is a topic.
And because because again, like as we said before, it's like this giving away your power. When you just say yes to everything, then you just give it away, because and I had that here. I remember when I was pregnant, I think I was still pregnant, and I was like trying to do it all. I agreed to, or no, I think I already had Zane. So I had Zane as a baby, a newborn, and then I started working for a yoga studio. I started teaching. I started working for another company, and I was just like, I helped a friend with her company. I was doing so many different things. And then I had my thing, like I wanted to build my own business, right? So that was just like before I started this business, this coaching business. And I was so angry always. I was so angry at the people that I was helping, at the people that I was working for, because I felt like they were taking away my power. I felt like they were taking away my time. They were taking away my energy. I didn't have any time anymore for my work, for my family. I felt just like torn apart. But the truth is that I allowed them to take away that energy from me. I made the decision to say yes to all of these things, and I didn't remain very direct with what my boundaries are and what I can take on and what I can't take on. And through doing so, I wasn't able to do anything of what was important to me. And I just felt totally off. And I felt, as I said, I felt really angry about everything. And I didn't show them that. So it kind of like me mousing away, but then sitting in my corner and being really angry. That's how it looked like for me. But really, that's what I chose to do, right? So standing in your power is a choice, even though it's not comfortable. Very often it's not comfortable, but yeah. So it's like, do you want to be comfortable but really not happy where you're at and feel like you don't own your own life? Or do you want to be uncomfortable for phases of your life, but then like feel the fire and feel the passion of life that can bring
your willpower.
And your willpower, yes.
And your confidence, yes, because it's not about, it's definitely also about having the confidence to say, I can do this, but I cannot do that. I'm okay with this workload, but that's a little bit too much for me right now. This is also living truthfully with yourself. I can also I'm good at talking. I'm just not good at writing. So if you need somebody for writing, I mean, I need the money, but I'm not good at it. So I have to be truthful to you and to me. There's another person who would do the job better, so maybe that person should do it. For example, this is also about solar plexus capability, having self-confidence and knowing what you can do and what you can't do, skill-wise and time-wise and energy-wise.
Yeah, it's totally being transparent with yourself, and with others,
and therefore others,
with yourself.
Also, when I prepared myself for the podcast, I read that having feelings of guilt is part of blocked or not very well balanced solar plexus chakra. And this is also linked to willpower. I have a very lovely example for that. So we wanted to record that podcast on Tuesday, right? And then so I thought it's Wednesday. You thought it's Tuesday. And so Tuesday you were like, I was in a dance class at night. Then I looked up and looked on my phone after the dance class, and you wrote an hour ago, I'm online now. We can now record the podcast. I'm here, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, damn it, did I miss something? I didn't know. Was it today? Oh man, I really thought it was tomorrow. So this is kind of what my reaction was. But then I gave my willpower away a little bit. I think it's a little bit of a thing that I do. And I have feelings of guilt, and I showed you, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I hope you're not mad at me. Are you mad at me now? Even though I didn't have to feel guilty, because I was looking forward to doing the podcast. I was having my plan for the podcast for Wednesday, just another day. So I was doing anything bad or wrong. So I can also say there wasn't really a reason for feeling guilty, because maybe we just miscommunicated. I don't really know what really happened, but I just realized I have that with another person too. Oh, I remember as we wanted to meet up, and then I was ready. I was waiting in the middle of the city for her to tell me where to go, and she wouldn't answer for half an hour. And then I decided to go home. And then she called me and said, so are you coming? And I said, no, I'm on my way home now. I waited half an hour in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's Berlin. There's always something to do, but I didn't want to wait longer. And then what I did was I wasn't sticking to my decision, or I wasn't confident with how I decided. I again went into the guilt feeling thing, and I said, I'm sorry, are you mad now that I drove home, that I decided I'm not going to hang out with you, I'm not going to come to where you're at? And I realized, oh, okay, this is something where I give my willpower away. But my decision to go home is not a bad decision. It is nothing against the other person. It's nothing. It's totally fine. And the miscommunication of us about when to meet up, it's also nothing where you have to feel guilty about, generally, I would say, truthfully. So generally, if you realize that you have feelings of guilt very often, you can check in maybe if you give your power away there, if you don't really stand for how you feel about the situation. Yeah.
When you apologize the whole time.
Yes, when you apologize all the time.
Yeah, I used to do that all the time too.
Same thing. Yes, apologize. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. But I feel like the older you get, the more you work, not the older you get, the more you work on yourself, the more you realize that you have such a power and that you should use that, and that it's important that we all step into our power, because we need different opinions. We need different input from all other.
And we need our power. We're getting older.
Yeah.
Having as much power left.
Yes.
So when we're children.
Yes. Yeah, totally. So it changes. This one changes all the time, but that's one thing that I work with my clients on a lot of times. That's one thing that I see in people, a lot of people, that's unbalanced because they want to fit in. They want to be in societal norms.
Yes.
They have a specific picture of what beauty looks like, and if they don't fit into that, they feel not self-confident. And it all affects this solar plexus chakra. So yes. It has a lot about to do with what you think is right, and how you grew up, what the media tells you, what is right, what is wrong, what our society tells us what is right or wrong. And we draw from that. Am I a good person? Am I not a good person? Am I beautiful? Am I not?
Who decides whether I'm a good person or not?
Yeah, and we take that from society oftentimes. Not everyone, but a lot of people. And that's where then this lacking self-confidence comes from.
Nobody has to feel bad right now because they are focusing on what society wants from them, or we shouldn't feel bad because we have been following what society wants from us. We're human beings. In order to survive, it's a basic instinct. In order to survive, to be part of the tribe.
Yeah.
We all think we have to be part of the tribe in order to be okay, to be safe. So it's super natural, super normal, super okay to tend to thinking I have to be part of society, I have to be part of the norm in order to be okay. But there are possibilities where we can more individual, where we can make more decisions about what we really, really need, and to really look inside of us and see how we feel. If there are maybe some beliefs that are taking away life force, and without not being part of society anymore, or just that supports you to find your real tribe and the society, the microcosmos that you have to live in order to feel more aligned with your path. Yeah, it's hard sometimes to look where your real path is, and you cannot always find it like this just because you decided to. I also sometimes feel like some people have to be on the wrong path for a certain amount of time in order to realize what the good path is, the real truthful path. And we have to feel pain for some time in our lives in order to find the life force in us, to want to find the real fun, juicy, fiery stuff that's feeling really, really good. So don't blame you guys. I don't want to blame anybody for wanting to fit in. That's also okay.
It's good that you mentioned that, because I definitely don't want to do that at all. But all they were saying is kind of like find where you fit in, right? And it's often not even about finding, but more seeing. Because a lot of acknowledging seeing rather than I need to find this great thing for me, who I am. It's mostly just really seeing, and it's right here, right? You're right here. It's not about fun. Like for me, when I was younger, when I was like out of school, I was like, I want to travel, I want to find who I am, kind of this thing. But really, I'm right here. I don't have to find myself. I just have to see myself for who I am, and then honor that, acknowledge that, embrace that, and align with that.
All we have to do is listen to how we feel. So what you can do right now is listen to our podcast and listen to the words we're saying, and just checking, how do I feel with that? What do I feel about it? Do I like that? Do I not like that? Is that my opinion too or not? And really take that in. And because this is the compass. How do I feel with that? What is happening out there to me or around me?
It's your gut feeling. It's connected to your gut feeling, and that's an actual thing, right? Your gut feeling is not just like we think that it exists. It's actually,
my gut was just like
Nice.
Sorry for interrupting.
Good. But I just wanted to say, like, it also, Manipura Chakra is about your gut feeling and connecting to that and trusting that, and that's your feelings and your physical sensations when you hear something. So definitely, I did want to just let's talk a little bit about how, other than inquiring with yourself and like staying with that, what are tools that we can offer to work with,
because you have some physical tools definitely that help, that you can share, right?
Yes, some physical tools, like with every chakra there comes asana, like movement, there comes breath work, and for this one, a lot of twists is really good, like all kinds of twists you can do. That's gonna like flush out almost like negative energies, and also gonna help your digestion. Like your organs are actually just gonna be flushed out, right? When you twist your torso against the direction that your hips are going. And so you can do that lying down. what do you want to say?
We always have to go right first and then left, right? So that turn to your right when you do a twist, and then the left side, right? Because of some organ is helpful to detox some organ because something is more right than the other one or something like that. Yeah, I don't get it together really well.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, I got taught that you have to go to the right side first and then to the left side. Wherever you are, standing, sitting, laying down. Yeah.
Interesting. I always do it, but I didn't know why. I was taught that way. I wasn't taught why. But that's interesting. I'm gonna look into it.
Yeah. Do it. Me too.
Yeah. Yeah. You can text it to me, and we can write it in the show notes.
In the show notes.
But yeah.
So you wanted to say you
twist,
can do it. Sitting, lying
down, standing, all kinds of twists. And then breath work is anything that ignites this fire, like breath of fire. Then Bastraka. Is it Bastraka? I don't know the name right now. Bastruka. But
isn't it Kapalabhati also?
Yeah, Kapalabhati is breath of fire. So that's the fast one. And then you have Bastrika, I think it's called. I'm not sure with the but it's this where you breathe in and out at the same. So it's
Bastrika is right.
Bastrika, okay. So Bastrika is the second one, which is you do the same thing as breath of fire. So you have this forceful breath through your nose, but it's you hold the inhale and the exhale are same, like they're equal, and you hold on each. After the exhale you hold, after the inhale you hold, and you move your belly button in and out, like you ignite that part of your body where at the solar plexus, around your solar plexus, and that ignites this fire. So it goes like, so it's really like, and I'm not sure what the translation is of that, but it doesn't really matter. And other than that, cleansing, cleanser, like doing a juice cleanse fast for one day a week or something is going to help your digestive system to cleanse and rest a little bit, and then it can take on things, maybe repair while you're not eating, while it's not digesting for a whole day, and then it can like take on that transformative like action again after that. So if you have if you kind of through hearing us talk, notice that you can relate to a lot of things, or that you think that you could have, or you have some digestive issues, then doing twists daily, breathing, like doing these more fast breathing and invigorating breathing, and maybe incorporating, it doesn't even have to be a full day, but maybe have one day aside where you fast for some time of the day, or drink only juices, drink a lot of water, right, to flush things out. That's definitely going to help you. And it's really surprising. You might not think that that's going to help with your willpower, but you're going to feel definitely more like, just try it out and notice how the perception of yourself changes through cleansing yourself and purifying your physical body.
Yes, because the physical body is 100% connected to the mental body, to your soul. It's all interconnected, and it can all have an effect on the other thing. Yes, definitely. Also cleansing, if you don't eat, you give your body cells don't have to work on the food, on the transforming of the materia the materialistic stuff, the physical stuff, into energy. They don't have to work on digestion. They have a pause and they can work on the other things. If you don't have to digest, you can work on the other things that you never have time for, kind of. That's how I always have it in my head, what cleansing does to our body. Mm.
Yeah, you mean
and
the
also
more internal processes?
Yeah, or the body can get rid of dead cells that are still somewhere storage, and that it doesn't have time to flush out. And now there's more space because there's not food to digest to flush out all those things. Yeah. And also generally, if I talk about flushing out, water is the best thing, the only thing you can use for flushing. It's not tea, it's not coffee, it's not Coke. It's really water that helps us to let go and to flush out our bodies. Yeah. Me personally, besides all those things we said, and those things that Sophia just said, the physical things we can do to support our solar plexus, I really like to put on really amazing music that's motivating for me, and to take a walk and to be in my music video, I can do this thing. Or there are also techniques that you can use to put yourself on your lane. You can use your favorite motivational music and cut together a video of all the things you really want to achieve or that make you feel good right now.
Vision board.
Put it together. Yeah, what is it?
A vision board.
Yeah, you can have a real vision, like a vision board that you can put on your wall, but you can also have a vision board video.
Mm-hmm.
A motivation video that puts you back into your, what do I really want? Who do I really want to be? What do I really want to feel like? Yeah. So when I'm down, I can get music to get myself back into this fiery, yes, I'm just gonna do it thing.
Yeah. It's anything that excites you and that makes you like, I got this and I want this, and this is really like, I'm sure anyone that's listening, when you feel really fiery inside.
Yeah.
And what makes you feel that.
And acknowledge that.
Yes.
Whenever it comes, even with the weirdest things, if you see a sheep and you're really excited, then, I mean, maybe you should get a sheep farm. I don't know. Just let yourself be surprised and really, really acknowledge your feelings and your excitement as well. Yes.
Yeah, totally.
However random it is.
Yeah.